The first thing I saw was the floating head, not the woman covered in jewels, not the ruler sitting in the shadows. The head, suspended in a burst of light, staring across the painting. I had no idea who these people were or what had happened, but inside the dim rooms of Gustave Moreau's house in Paris, the image felt almost hypnotic. The woman is Salome. The head belongs to John the Baptist, and the violent story connecting them is already strange, but Moreau made it stranger, because this floating apparition does not appear in the original story at all. Before we get to that, it helps to know who is inside the painting. At the center is Salome, dressed almost like a jeweled version of herself. Behind her sits the ruler Herod Antipas and her mother Herodias. On the opposite side, an executioner still holds his sword, and between them appears John the Baptist, dead, but somehow the brightest and most commanding figure in the room. In the Gospel of Mark, John condemns Herod's marriage to Herodias. She had previously been married to Herod's brother, and John tells the ruler that the marriage is unlawful. That makes John dangerous. Not because he has an army, not because he holds political power, but because he is willing to challenge the ruling family directly. Herod has him imprisoned, but the story does not make Herod a simple, decisive villain. He fears John. He is fascinated by him. He listens to him even though John's words leave him disturbed. Herodias is less conflicted. She wants John dead. Her opportunity arrives at Herod's birthday celebration, a banquet filled with officials, military leaders, and important guests. Herodias' daughter enters and dances for the room. Herod is so pleased that he makes a reckless promise in front of everyone. "Ask for whatever you want, and I will give it to you." The dancer leaves to ask her mother what she should request. Herodias gives her the answer: the head of John the Baptist. She returns and asks for it immediately, on a platter. Herod is distressed, but now his pride has trapped him. He made the promise in front of the people whose respect he wants to keep. So rather than break his word in front of his guests, he sends an executioner to the prison. John is killed. His head is brought into the banquet and given to the girl, who then gives it to her mother. That is the basic story behind the painting. But even the name, Salome, is not actually used in the gospel accounts. They call her the daughter of Herodias. The name comes from the 1st century historian Josephus, who identifies a daughter of Herodias named Salome. And there is definitely no moment in Matthew or Mark when John's head rises into the air, surrounded by light, and confronts her. Moreau invented that. And that invention changes the entire balance of the story. Moreau could have painted Salome dancing. He could have shown the execution or the head arriving on a platter. Artists had depicted those moments for centuries. Instead, he freezes the story in a place that feels halfway between the physical world and a hallucination. John may be dead, but he does not appear powerless. His head is upright. His eyes are open. A halo radiates around him. He seems to look directly at Salome. Everyone who helped cause his death remains buried in the darkness of the palace. John alone seems to break through it. Moreau reverses the apparent power of the story. Salome has received what was demanded, but the victim now controls the scene. She points toward him, yet it is difficult to tell whether she is commanding the apparition recoiling from it or frozen by it. Is this a divine accusation, a vision of guilt, a prophecy? Or is she fascinated by the very thing that should horrify her? Moreau refuses to settle the question. That ambiguity makes sense when you look at the kind of artist Moreau was. Moreau did not want painting simply to reproduce ordinary reality. He pulled from the Bible, classical mythology, Renaissance art, medieval decoration, Indian and Persian miniatures, and anything else that could help him construct an imagined world. Look at the palace around Salome. It does not belong cleanly to one time or place. Pagan figures dissolved into the background. Medieval-looking ornament sits beside architecture that feels ancient and invented at the same time. The setting feels less historical than psychological. Moreau wanted his paintings to transport viewers into mysterious, imagined places, and here he transforms a short biblical episode into something closer to a dream, or maybe a nightmare. Moreau returned to Salome again and again. He changed her pose, her expression, and her relationship to John's head. That repetition matters because Salome was also changing in 19th century culture. The Gospel gives us an unnamed daughter who follows her mother's instructions, but artists and writers gradually transformed her into something larger. The beautiful, dangerous woman, the femme fatale. Moreau helped make that image unforgettable. His Salome is covered in jewels, theatrical, and difficult to read. She can seem powerful, horrified, detached, or mesmerized, depending on which version you see. But in L'Apparition, the painting does not let Salome fully possess the story. John has lost his body, but not his presence. Salome has received the head, but not control over what it means. And perhaps that is why the painting felt so hypnotic in person. You are not simply looking at the aftermath of a murder. You are looking at a confrontation that should be impossible. She gets what she asked for, but Moreau paints the moment that she has to face.